Hello, welcome to another session of Learn with Veer Sagar. We'll continue on this journey of profit increase. We've looked at various means of profit increase. We talked about increasing of sales. We talked about reduction of cost management. We talked about analyzing the value of products and components. Now we will look at a totally different view or different way of to achieving the same objective of increasing the profit. That is, creating mathematical models of whatever activity that you want to increase the profit from or minimize the cost of, right? I don't want to go into the technology of that because that will confuse people. So let's keep it simple as that. So most of the organizations have capacity restriction. They have an installed capacity and they can only produce within that. So without adding more capacity, without producing more, can the company make more profit by just playing around with the mix? Because in any organization, all products do not have the same gross contribution. The margins are different. So how do you optimize the mix in such a way that you make the most profit? To do that, right, it was just a simple thing of looking at the most profitable item, sort them in the most profitable item, right, and go hell-bent to produce the first one as much as you can. Then it was simple, but it doesn't work like that. There are limits, what are called bounds. First, there are certain things. Let's take again, I'm giving my example of Dunlop. When you're producing tires, let's say there are limits on what the market can bear. On a particular size, it can only take so many and not beyond that. However, you must produce a certain minimum to be available in that market segment. So there's a minimum and a maximum that you have to produce on each size. So the other restriction is the capacity restriction, the manufacturing restriction. That is, each tire, each product has a mold. And it says this can be made only this much. A group of tires has a restriction because of some sub-assembly production, which cannot exceed so much. So there are restrictions. There are also restrictions on raw material. Right? In those, if you wanted to make nylon tires, the availability of nylon cord was limited. So there was a restriction on that could be a limit could be based on raw material, a limit based on the capacity of individual product or whatever restrictions there are. So we took all that and created a mathematical model which said that how do I optimize my gross profit of the whole range of, say, let's say truck tires, given that one particular tire, each size must be produced up to a minimum of this level and cannot be produced more than this, right? Based on the sales requirements, and similarly the restrictions on capacity, that this cannot be produced in more than some numbers. Sometimes there is a capacity restriction in a group that these four together cannot exceed so much, right? So we fed in all that, and we created a mathematical model, and we solved what are called these inequalities. In a normal way, it's very tough to answer this because you have to create a matrix and invert the matrix. Not very easy. Creating the matrix is tough, and inverting the matrix is very, very difficult. That's why it was not done. But once you have this backing of a computer and the programs, then this becomes easy. All you have to do is create the model, feed it to the computer, and watch miracles. That's what we did. We did put in and we ran this, which then printed out two things. A, what is the optimum mix? And then if a particular restriction was removed, that means if I could produce more than the maximum that was provided for me on this number, what is the improvement in profit? Or if I produce less than this, what is the improvement in profit? So we also got what is called shadow cost, saying if I did more, if I could do more, then this is the advantage, which gives direction to the company that going forward, you need to add capacity in this, either more molds or more raw material or whatever is the restriction. So this would then give a mix. I would take that and make a very simple uh, Excel spreadsheet, which says the size, the description of the size, the gross contribution of the size, the amount asked for by the sales, maximum and minimum, and the amount suggested by the computer, by the mathematical model. And then calculate the profit as costed by what was required by the sales in their mix against this and show the difference in margin. So the manager or the sales manager would look and say, oh, this is within this region, I'll accept that. This is within the region, I know, but still I don't think we can sell so much. Or whatever that logic they may apply. And we will probably arrive at a solution which is semi-optimal but acceptable to all. And as time passed, this semi-optimal moved towards more and more optimization because the confidence in the model grew. And people understood this, and this started becoming a normal phenomenon. Initially, it was done once a year for the annual budget, and then it started becoming a monthly feature that every month we optimize or we maximize the profit of what we are going to make. Next week, I'll talk about a totally different thing, about how we can do the same thing, a model, but for cutting down capital cost. And then subsequently, we'll talk about different things. So till such time, we meet again. It's Veer Sagar saying goodbye and thank you very much.